All right, I'd like to bring in Nicodemus Minde. He's a researcher with the East Africa Peace and Security Governance Program at the Institute for Security Studies, and he is in Nairobi. Thank you so much for being here with us. So what do you make of the president's extreme step here of firing the entire cabinet?
I think it's a step towards the right direction. Of course, there will be more demands about accountability and justice for the victims, but I think the pressure has yielded, and the president had to yield to this pressure by sacking his cabinet, and of course rearranging his government is a sign of to win back political legitimacy, which he has so far seems to have lost.
Yeah, on that idea of legitimacy, the protesters have been insistent in calling for the president's resignation. Is his position truly under any threat, do you think?
Well, if these demands continue, then of course people could say that his position is under threat. But constitutionally, of course, Kenya being a democracy, there are of course channels through which a president can be forced to resign, especially, or it's through an election where you have to change a president. But these demands actually are putting a lot of pressure on the president, and the president had to act in certain ways in order to bring these reforms. In the past week, he has been able to assent to a bill on the Electoral Commission so that it can be able to now set a stage for more broader reforms. He has also promised broader consultation in terms of inclusivity and dialogues and amongst all stakeholders, including the youth. So if he continues with that, probably he's going to save his political seat. But of course, the pressure is still very, very high for the president.
Yeah, so presumably this is a big win for the protesters. Now, in those protests, the so-called Gen Z protests, some 41 people were killed during clashes with police. Many more were arrested. Do you get a sense that there will be any accountability for the alleged, trampling of human rights here that have been documented?
Without a doubt, I think the president has shown that it is high time for him to listen to most of these demands, because there was a time when he actually called these protesters criminals and the acts as treasoners, which again I didn't go very well with the protesters. So going by his desire to bring this broader consultation, broader reforms, especially now that he has sacked the cabinet, I think the bright or the wise thing for him to do is also to take it a bit higher and bring about accountability and justice for those who lost their lives. I think if he really wants to win back the hearts of the people, that is a wise thing for him to do, and he has to do it.
Despite these latest moves by the president, do you expect to see any more large-scale protests, and do you think that the authorities will handle them any differently?
Sure, protests have actually been planned for next week. Of course, it's still early days where these protesters, the Gen Zs, are mobilizing through social media. And now they're actually calling for broader accountability, especially on questions of corruption. Now that the cabinet has been sacked, now they're calling for a return of this loot that has actually been stolen by most of these government officials or public officials. So with that, you will expect probably more protests. But I think with the lessons of the protests from the past 2 or 3 weeks, I think the government will deal with the protests a little bit better, especially now that they're in this very pressure that has come domestically and also internationally.
Yeah, listen, you say internationally. I mean, Kenya obviously has such a huge role on the continent and as a partner to countries in the West, especially over security issues. So how worried should the international allies be over the political chaos that seems to be engulfing the country, that it might reduce their confidence in Kenya as a reliable partner?
There's a common adage that goes around here that if Kenya sneezes, the rest of the East African countries catch a cold. And this is because of the economic and political significance that Kenya has in the region, especially on issues to do with transit goods, infrastructure, and other forms of finance and trading. And of course, Kenya is still an important anchor state, not just in the region, but of course, in the African context. And this in itself makes Kenya an important nation. Of course, as you have rightly put it, these people will also be observing and be worried about a way in which this can actually be settled once and for all, especially now that the Kenyans are really demanding for greater accountability and political accountability, and as well broader inclusiveness in terms of governance.
Nicodemus Minde in Nairobi, really appreciate getting your expertise on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.